Minister of International Relations for South Africa, Maite Nkwana Mashaba, and we'll continue following that story for you. Okay, so just before that, I was chatting to Prof Parsons about the situation in Zimbabwe, and I think you took us through all the markers deteriorated since 2008 to where we are now.
Well, the thing is that the Zimbabwean economy is half the size it was then. They've had the currency problems, unemployment and poverty have soared. In fact, a number of the economic and political institutions have simply been hollowed out. So that's the big challenge. And I mean, you've spoken now about the SADC decision. There's an important role, because if you don't get the politics right, you're not going to get the economics right. So the first port of call has got to be what the new decision makers, who they are, who is the new team, given their background, of course, and what are their priorities going to be. One of the major ones has to be economic recovery. Obviously, South Africa has a stake in that as well. But certainly, we want to see a continuation of what are the values that we would like to see upheld in a new democratic system. So I think it's very early days, given the fact that it is a military turnover, takeover.
Zimbabwe, if you look at the size of the country, population between 12 and 15 million, you look at the arable land that's there, you look at the enormous mineral wealth the country has, you look at skilled labor, educated workforce. Surely it shouldn't, if you do the right things, it shouldn't take very long to fix Zimbabwe.
I think we mustn't underestimate the amount of damage done to the economy. But once you restore hope and on which you can build some confidence, you can turn that round once you show the right leadership. And we don't know that yet. We're not clear where the chips are going to fall. But I think the message going out, there is the possibility of a game changer that will now unlock the true potential of Zimbabwe and restore its role as a much more productive economy in Southern Africa. I come back to my point. There was a time when it was the second largest economy in the region. And I think it will not get there overnight. But I think there is no quick fix. But the important point is that a new leadership, if it is able to identify an economic program which will turn the economy around and do it on an inclusive basis, make sure that other stakeholders are brought in to help make it happen. It's amazing how quickly you can change the mood, and on that mood you can build some real effects of betterment in the future. That's the challenge that the new political leadership will face.
What does business do in the meantime? You know, you hear stories of some factories and manufacturing processes that, you know, instead of shutting down completely because it will cost too much to resuscitate much later, they're operating at 5–10%. You know, they're not making any money, but the potential loss of shutting it down completely is enormous. And so the manufacturing, its output is at levels, you know, which are very, very low.
But that shows the extent to which there's been economic damage to the economic infrastructure, to business, to indeed business confidence. It's been more a survival kit. How do I survive? Not how do I grow and expand and unlock the potential of the Zimbabwean economy, which has been damaged and destroyed over time. So I think the important point that must emerge now is, once the politics appears to be a little more clear, will that leadership be able to turn the economy around by sending out a message that they're going to embark on an economic program with a difference, that they're not going to make the mistakes of the past, they're going to A, rectify the mistakes, and B, come out with a positive program that will build confidence and will say to the people and indeed the business people of Zimbabwe and the South African business people who've been involved, this is a game you can back. We're going to turn it around. But that, I think we're not there yet. There are some major political decisions that have to be taken.
Let's assume that ZANU-PF somehow manages to retain power, whether it's an interim structure where It's being touted that Morgan Tsvangirai might be Prime Minister, for example, and then you've got all these ZANU-PF or ex-ZANU-PF guys with the major positions. What would be investors outside looking in and saying, do we wait another 3 years until we've got elections, or would they start to think about investing?
I think they will want to hear what the new leadership says. What are they going to say about the economy? Remember, there are supposed to be scheduled elections in the middle of next year. So now we don't know whether those will take place or under what conditions they'll take place. Because at the end, what will matter for the credibility of the new leadership is the test of democracy. That has got to be restored. And from that, other messages must flow. But the important point here is that unless the political leadership shows and is able to demonstrate a message that they are willing and able to turn the Zimbabwean economy around on a totally different basis, they will not get the investment or the business confidence at the levels at which they want. In other words, it's not enough to come up with a survival kit. You actually want a growth program which is inclusive and involves the country as a whole in a whole new vision. Now, whether this leadership is able to do that, we'll have to see.
All right, Prof. Parsons, we're going to have to leave it there, but always a pleasure talking to you, and I'm sure we'll have another chat about this country in the very near future. Thank you very much, sir.